today's case, we will be going over the Nicole Brown Simpson case. This case took place back in 1994. So, let's go ahead and get into it. Nicole was born in Germany, and her family moved to California when she was a teenager. Nicole then met an American football player, O.J. Simpson, in 1977 at the age of 18, when she was working as a waitress at the Beverly Hills private club, the Daisy. At this time, O.J. was 29 years old, and he was still married to his first wife, who was actually pregnant with their third child at the time. So he was basically cheating on his wife with Nicole. But OJ claims that him and his first wife were separated at this time and that Nicole was aware that he was married and they were working on becoming separated. Nicole is probably just so excited that an NFL player wanted to be with her, especially because she was receiving all types of expensive gifts. I mean, he had bought her a new car and place to live only a month or two into the relationship. OJ divorced his first wife in March 1979, and on February 2nd, 1985, 5 years later, after OJ retired from the NFL, OJ and Nicole got married. They had 2 children and were married for 7 years. Nicole and OJ had a toxic and abusive relationship. OJ said he had never hit her and always had reasonings for whatever happens, pretty much downplaying the situations. There were 2 situations that stood out to me. The first was when he damaged her car with a baseball bat. Let's hear what he had to say about this situation.
You write about the night in 1984 with the baseball bat.
You know, I don't know why this has become such a big deal. This is what bothered me with the media and these stories is I hadn't committed to a wedding date. I think I got engaged, but then I'm do what most guys do, you know.
You put it off.
I'm telling you, well, we'll get married maybe next summer or something. And she had come home, and we were talking about it, and we went out front like we often did, and we was talking about what it was. And I was sitting on the front of this, it was actually my car, but I had bought it for her. And I had a bat between my legs, and as we're talking, it's bouncing off the tire, and we're just talking. And at one point, it hits the rim, and she says, if you damage that, you're gonna have to pay for it. And I go, well, if I pay for that, I guess I have to pay for this too. And I kind of hit the front of her car, you know. So she went in the house. I don't know what she did when she went in the house, but I mean, it's my car. I pay for everything. So I pay for everything around here, right?
With your experience around domestic violence, what are the things that you saw in that interview that stuck out to you?
Well, I think the thing that has always been clear to me about this particular tragedy is that while Simpson was a very skilled, very talented football player, he was nobody special when it came to being a batter. He was like every other batter I've ever heard about.
He doesn't say it, but the bat actually was used to bash in the windshield. And by some reports, Nicole was in the car when he was bashing in the windshield.
Subtle and not so subtle forms of violence are used to continue to keep control over their victim. So him just bouncing the bat off the tire initially was a subtle message. I am in charge. I will determine the framework for this relationship. I will decide what happens when it happens. You will not, or you will die.
He terrorized her. He sent her a very clear message. He is giving her a preview of the rest of her life, or perhaps even the end of it.
There are a few situations like this where OJ just excused his way out of it. Like the time that Nicole had bruises all over her, he blamed her. He said that she started it and that he was just defending himself, and all that he did was put her in a chokehold and maybe throw her off to the side. But there was another occasion where she also had marks all over her face, and he said that it was just makeup and that they were doing it for a movie. He really just shows how much of a manipulating narcissist he really is.
We had been to a New Year's party. We're home. We were both, sort of intoxicated. We were very affectionate. But somehow in the middle of this affection, she asked me about some earrings. Turned out she had misunderstood Marcus Allen's fiance, Catherine, that maybe I had bought Nicole some diamond earrings, but since she didn't get them, I obviously bought diamond earrings from someone else. Now, I didn't know this until after that night, because other than being very pushing me off her and going out the room and yelling and screaming, she wouldn't say what it was about, except something about the earrings. And I locked her out of the room, and somehow she finds a key and come back in the room. And I threw her out, and I really threw her out with no concern for her well-being. I mean, she got physical with me, and obviously I'm bigger. I got more physical with her, which I shouldn't have done. Historically, I just leave, and I didn't just leave. And a little later, my housekeeper came and told me that the cops were outside. And the one thing that hurts me as much as anything in this, you know, besides being considered by some a murderer, is this being a batter.
She had bruises on her arms and her face.
Yeah, neck sort of, which were consistent with your wrestling person. She's, Nicole, anybody who knows her, is a very physical person, a very confrontational person, who had gotten into her share of fights, with bouncers at clubs and stuff. I made no excuses. I didn't start it. But I made no excuses about my reaction. Nicole admitted that she was the one that initiated all of it. But still, I was the man. I shouldn't have reacted the way I reacted.
Are you sorry?
No excuses, drink. Of course I was sorry for that. I'm responsible for what I did. I got physical. I was wrong. Nicole had admitted that she initiated it. And somehow I came out of all of that because of that night as the poster boy of an abuser.
So after that situation, OJ was arrested and charged with domestic violence, but only had to serve 120 hours of community service. OJ was having an affair with another woman when Nicole found out and filed for divorce on February 25th, 1992. And from there, things got even worse. OJ then started stalking her, which he explains, "Oh no, I'm not stalking her. We just happened to be in the same places at the same time. And I just happened to swing by her house because I was in the area and just wanted to talk."
We had once in a while seen each other. She'd come by the house. And so it wasn't like we didn't have relations in the early part of our separation. So I had run into her, which they tried to say was stalking, because her and some friends were at a opening of a restaurant. I was there with like 16 people. So I mean, if I'm stalking you with my crew. We were all there too, And I saw her, and I went over and spoke to her and her group. Then I went out with my group to a party. But on the way home, I'd say, I'll see if she's home, because if she's still up, I don't know how late she stayed out. Maybe, I can get something. In any event, as I approached her front door, she has a window right along the walkway there. I can hear something, and I can see movement. And when I look, I can obviously see she was involved in something. I didn't know who it was with or what. And I hit the door and left.
When you knocked on the door?
No, I just hit the door.
When you hit
I wanted them to be aware that somebody's around and maybe they'd move or something. That's all. I didn't even look. I just hit the door twice and left.
In this interview, he only talks about 2 occasions of running into Nicole, but there were multiple situations. He even went back the next morning to confront her on her being with another man. And her friends say there were multiple occasions where he would pull up at her home or at the restaurant that they would eat at. And there was also neighbors that said that they would see his car parked out on the streets, and they would see him walking around her backyard wearing a baseball cap. And then on the night of October 25th, 1993, Nicole would call 911 crying and saying OJ was there and that he was going to beat her up. So let's see what he has to say about this situation.
Has he threatened you in any way, or is he just harassing you?
You're going to hear him in a minute. He's about to come in.
Okay, just stay on the line.
I don't want to stay on the line. He's going to beat the
Wait a minute. Wait, just stay on the line so we can know what's going on until the police get there, okay? Okay, Nicole?
Uh-huh.
Doing that 911 tape that everybody hears me yelling, I'm saying I don't want these girls around my kids. And that's the only thing that argument on that 911 tape was about. I went to her house and read her the riot act.
What does he say?
Okay, the kids are
Just stay on the line, okay?
I did what any father and would do. And yet, you know, people listen to that tape and made me this horrible person. Whenever they hear that 911 tape, can you believe he's yelling at her about this? Well, when the cops came, it became apparent. She said, I was yelling to her about this and only this. That's the only reason I was there, reading her the riot act, is I don't want these people around my kids.
He doesn't say to you, Judith, what really happened, which is he kicks in the door. He breaks down the door to get inside the house, and all the yelling that we hear on that 911 tape is because he's pushed himself into a house that is not his and gotten access.
And again, he's there stalking and terrorizing her, you know, in the most egregious way, and yet he describes it as looking out for his children.
As you can see, he always has a reason or excuse to why he did what he did, and it's always Nicole's fault, never his. And then, on the evening of June 12th, 1994, Nicole, at the age of 35, and Ron Goldman, at the age of 25, who was a server at the restaurant that Nicole ate at that night, were killed. It was said that Ron was bringing her glasses that she left at the restaurant that night, and that he either interrupted the attack on Nicole or the killer saw him there and flipped out in a jealous rage, thinking something was going on between the two, which there wasn't, and killed them both. Now we're about to watch a hypothetical situation from what OJ says that would have happened if he had done it, which in itself is crazy to me. Why would you be thinking about this or even come up with a story of if you did this? If you ask me, this clip sounds more like a confession. So let's go ahead and check it out.
My daughter was having a recital, and I had already missed, I think the week or two before, I was out of town, and I had missed something. I forget what it was, something that my daughter was having. So I couldn't miss this. So I said, I got to be there for the recital. And I flew into town, and I just wanted to go there, see my daughter, and leave. And I talked to Nicole briefly that day. She had called and asked if I could get there early and hold seats. And I said, I don't think so, which she did. And when we got to the recital, she had actually held me a seat with her and the two kids, right?
There was something that you write in the book about what Nicole was wearing.
Yeah, you know, it was almost like she was trying to be a teenager again. You know, dating all these much younger guys, wearing the shortest, tightest thing she was wearing. And sometimes you think something is inappropriate, but you don't say anything. Who am I to say, tell her what to do, you know?
So you're at the recital.
Yeah, I was just exhausted, but everything was cool. And during one of the breaks, Dr. Fishman pulled me aside, and Cora Fishman is Nicole's best friend. His daughter's my daughter's best friend to this day. And Dr. Fishman said, man, Juice, you won't believe what's going on. These girls, he is telling me that they had fights, and Nicole was nuts that week, right? I mean, it was like, what are these girls doing? I mean, it was just craziness, what they were saying. And I said, man, get away from them. I tell you, these girls, whatever's going on is bad, you know? And this comes right after a week previous to this. Her best friend, Cora, had come to my house in tears, begging me to do something to get Nicole away from the people she was hanging around. Somehow the prosecution didn't want that in the case, right? I don't know. I was upset. It upset me.
The Brown family, Nicole's parents and sisters, were also at the recital, and there were plans for a family dinner afterwards at Mezzaluna, that local Italian restaurant. They recall OJ asking to come along, but Nicole said no.
What kind of frame of mind are you in when you leave the recital?
I am tired.
Irritable?
I don't want to sleep. I'm irritable. When you get tired, you get irritable.
And you write about chipping golf balls into the neighbor's yard. You write, usually when I pick up golf balls, the world disappears, but this time I couldn't get her out of my head.
Yeah. I'm thinking about my kids and what Dr. Fishman mentioned to me.
The chapter 6, is called The Night in Question. And you write in the book, now picture this and keep in mind that this is
Purely
hypothetical.
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 Yes.
Why don't you tell me what might have happened on the night of June 12th, 1994? And let's just walk through the night.
Well, first of all, this is very difficult for me to do this. It was very difficult for me because it's hypothetical. I know and I accept the fact that people are going to feel whatever way they're going to feel. You know, they're going to, you know, whatever they want to feel. In the book, the hypothetical is
Charlie pulls that up.
Charlie. This guy Charlie shows up, the guy who I had recently become friends with, and I don't know why he had been by Nicole's house, but it told me you wouldn't believe what's going on over there. And I remember thinking, well, whatever's going on over there's got to stop, right? So we kind of hooked up together, and you know, I'm kind of broad stroking this. We go over, get into Bronco and go over.
Let's just go back and do the details. Where did you park?
This is the detail.
You park
in the hypothetical in the alley.
Right. You park in the alley.
Yeah.
And you put on a wool cap and gloves.
In the hypothetical, I put on a cap and gloves.
Right.
Yeah.
And you reached under the seat for?
A knife. I always kept a knife in the car for the crazies and stuff because you can't travel with a gun. And I remember Charlie saying, you ain't bringing that. And I didn't, right? But I believe he took it.
Charlie took the knife?
Yeah. In the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the back gate, you go through the back gate.
Yes.
And it was open or broken or?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I go to the front and I'm looking to see what's going on. And I can see that it appears like Nicole had candles all the time. She really did, to keep her overhead down, I think. And music was on. And while I was there, a guy shows up. You know?
So Ron Goldman comes in the back gate.
Yeah, a guy that I really didn't recognize. I may have seen him around, but I really didn't recognize him to be anyone. And in the mood I was in, I started having words with him.
He says to you, I just came by to return a pair of glasses. Judy left them at the restaurant.
Yeah, words to that effect, yes.
And
he was I don't know if I believed it or didn't believe it. It was pretty much immaterial because, you know, I was more concerned about everything that was going on, you know, and was fed up with it, I guess. And
you get into a fight. Nicole comes out.
A verbal
fight.
Got a little loud, and by that time, Nicole had come out, and we started having words about who is this guy, why is he here, what's going on.
And she says, this is my house, get the F out of here.
Yes, and which I didn't like because, once again, this is the same person, and if you read the book, you'll see some things that happened in the 2 weeks leading up to this that were very, very irritating, you know. And I think Charlie had followed this guy in, wanted to make sure there was no problem, and he brought the knife. As things got heated, I just remember Nicole fell and hurt herself. And this guy kind of got into a karate thing. And I said, well, you think you can kick my ass? And I remember I grabbed a knife. I do remember that portion, taking a knife from Charlie. And to be honest, after that, I don't remember. Except I'm standing there and there's all kind of stuff around and
what kind of stuff?
Blood and stuff around. You know, I hate to say this, but this is hypothetical. I'm sorry. Right. I know we got to back up again.
Right. That's okay. I'm going to back up.
This is hard. This is
hard. I know. I'm going to back up
to try to make people think that I'm.
I know. You wrote in the book, I had never seen so much blood in my life.
Yes.
You're covered, the scene. Can you describe it?
It's hard for me to describe it, I'm telling you. I don't think any two people could be murdered the way they were without everybody being covered in blood. And of course, I think we've all seen the grisly pictures after. So yeah, I think everything was covered, would have been covered in blood.
And what goes through your mind at a time like that?
I don't know. It's like, what happened?
You write about removing a glove before taking the knife from Charlie.
You know, I had no conscious memory of doing that, but obviously I must have, because they found a glove there.
And blacking out. Have you ever blacked out before?
Not to my knowledge.
No.
No.
And
Of course, if something like this would take place in anybody's life, if it were to happen, I would imagine it's something that you would probably automatically have trouble wrapping your mind around it. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
Prince, and you decide to take off.
Yes. Actually, I believe Charlie kept saying, we got to get out of here.
And in the book, you describe taking off your shoes, your pants, and your shirt and dropping it in a bundle. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And do you remember what happens
Because what
next?
are you going to do with it? You know, somebody's got to get rid of, as you may have called during the trial, is wear the bloody clothes. So somebody had to get rid of the bloody clothes.
Right. And you had left your keys and wallet in your pants pocket, and you had to go back and get it?
You know, to be honest, I think, I know that to be true, yes, yes.
And Charlie is hysterical, screaming, Jesus Christ, OJ, Jesus Christ, and you tell him to shut up?
Yeah, he's in a panic. He was in a panic, and I'm telling him to shut up, let's get out of here.
So you get back in the car, you take in your clothes, put them in the bundle?
And drove back and parked a block away because I knew the limo would be there, and came across the backyard through the 2 tennis courts and, you know, came through the house.
So you went through the neighbors?
Neighbors, yeah. He had a tennis court, then I had a tennis court.
And you go into the house, and what happens in the house?
I ran upstairs to take a shower. I actually ran upstairs and took some of my bags and came back downstairs and put them out front.
And then you get in the car and go to the airport?
That's correct.
You sign autographs?
Yeah.
And you wrote in the book that you were asleep before the plane took off.
Virtually.
When did you cut your finger?
To my knowledge, really, when I got the call the next morning, and this is the truth, when I got the call the next morning saying that Nicole had been murdered, was killed, was dead. And I kept saying, what do you mean dead? Killed, or whatever the words they use. I said, what do you mean? And as well, we can't tell you anything. We're still investigating, but where are you? And when can you get back here? And I think I actually went in the bathroom and it was dawning on me. I didn't really throw a glass. I just was, you know, and when I was putting it down, it just smashed. I went downstairs. I was bleeding at that point. I went downstairs and asked the lady on the desk for a Band-Aid. And I knew I signed so many autographs, and even when I had arrived the night before, there was people, and I signed autographs, and I knew I wasn't bleeding in any way at that point, but I knew when I was leaving I was. And I ran to the airport, and I ended up forcing my way on a plane. It was sold out, and somehow I told them that my wife had died, and I got to get out of here. If you're angry with a person upon their death, when they die, it's not like that anger disappears, right? And because of the 911 call, when I'm yelling at her about what's going on, it was almost like I want to say, I told you, didn't I tell you? Didn't I say to you? You know, it's whatever the hell was going on, you know what I mean? Didn't I? So you still got those kind of feelings in you, and you still are trying to deal with, I'm not going to be able to say this to this person. I'm never going to be able to change this person's mind. I'm never going to have an effect on this person again.
So this is a lot to take in. So I touched base on this being a hypothetical situation as if he did commit this crime. But to me, it really just sounds like a confession. And it really has me lost for words that he didn't show any emotion towards Nicole's death. Like, he didn't once get emotional telling this story. The most that I saw from him was him getting angry at her. And then there was the fact that he was laughing in parts of the interview. That was really sickening to me. I really wanted to put these clips in so you could just look into his eyes and watch him talk about Nicole and his emotionless expression and this bizarre story that he came up with. And I honestly didn't think I'd do it justice by just talking about it. So let's go ahead and hear a little bit from the professionals and what they have to say. And go ahead and leave your opinions of this interview down in the comment box below.
And he's reciting it as, I told you, didn't I?
Right. And he's saying, I'll no longer be able to affect this person or to change this person's mind. That's what he's saying as he's standing over his dead ex-wife's body. He's not thinking about the brutal way she was killed, the suffering. All he's talking about is his anger and his inability to further control her. And when he says, didn't I tell you, didn't I tell you, didn't I tell you I'd kill your ass if you didn't do what I told you to do?
It really sounded like he was saying that, right?
Yeah. Again, he blames her, and he's angry at her that he's still angry. And what he's essentially saying is that, after you kill someone, you'd think the anger would go away, but it didn't. I was still angry. He's still angry at her.
Absolutely. Control. He had lost control, and so he did what he always said he would do. He killed her. Now he has no control.
It didn't resolve anything for him.
No.
So now we are going to hear about what took place and how Nicole and Rob died. I will warn you, it is gruesome and heartbreaking to hear the details.
What the coroner says happened, because I think it's important to understand the specific details. It was not as he describes exactly. Nicole didn't fall. She was hit on the head with the handle of the knife, according to the coroner. She was stabbed 4 times in the neck as she lay on the ground. Ron Goldman arrived, runs towards her. He's grabbed by the killer, who jabs him in the face 5 times with the knife and then slits his throat. He gets loose, but there's a perimeter fence, so he's blocked. And so the killer is able to catch him again and plunges a knife into his side, and he severs his abdominal artery. There are defensive wounds on his hand, so he was trying to protect himself. And the killer alternated between the victims, pulling Nicole's head by the hair and cutting very deeply into her throat, and then going back over to Ron Goldman, who, according to the coroner, was probably dead at that point, and stabbing him. Your office described it as overkill at the time. Those details, I think, matter because they go to the viciousness of what happened that night.
37 years in criminal law, I've never seen a crime scene as horrific as this one.
This was so sad to hear. Whoever did this was really angry at Nicole and lost complete control. The autopsy said she was stabbed so many times in the neck that she was almost decapitated. So let's go ahead and go into all the evidence that they found. So first, they found bloody size 12 shoe prints at the scene, which were the same size shoe that OJ wore. Now, a quick fact, the brand of the shoe was an expensive shoe named Bruno Miguel. But the shoes were not found during the criminal case proceedings, and OJ denied wearing those luxury shoes, saying he would never wear those ugly shoes. However, during the civil trial, there were photographs that were found of OJ wearing those Bruno Miguel shoes. DNA was found on the scene, which was OJ's blood. And when OJ went in for interrogation, he had fresh cuts on his left hand, which was the same as the glove they found at the scene. It was the left glove. And then the other glove, the right glove, was found at OJ's home. And on top of that, It was a specific brand of gloves called Eris Light gloves, and they were a size extra large. Now, Nicole actually bought a pair of these same exact gloves in the same exact size in 1990 at the Bloomingdale's for O.J. Simpson. Then there was the blood from the victims, found in O.J.'s Bronco and in his driveway at his home. They also found socks at his home that had Nicole's blood on them. And then they also found fibers at the scene that matched to O.J.'s Bronco floor carpet. And on top of all of that, which this is really not evidence, and on top of all of that, which this part is really not evidence, but the detectives that called OJ to tell him Nicole was murdered said that OJ acted strange and it wasn't your typical reaction when telling someone that their loved one had passed. And let's not forget about the famous car chase when OJ was supposed to turn himself in, but instead he had his best friend and former teammate Al drive him around while OJ was threatening to commit suicide and had a gun to his head, while police followed behind. O.J. Simpson was tried for the murders of both Nicole Brown and Rob Goldman in October 1995 after a public trial that lasted nearly 9 months and presented both circumstantial and physical evidence that O.J. had killed both victims. He was controversially acquitted. And you could tell that everyone was completely shocked that he was found innocent. Even his lawyer and best friend, Rob Kardashian. Watch this clip of Rob's face when they read the verdict.
Find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being, as charged in count 1 of the information. Superior Court of the State of California, County of Los Angeles, in the matter of the people of the State of California versus Orenthal James Simpson. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Ronald Lyle Goldman, a human being, as charged in count 2 of the information.
Kris Kardashian said that after this trial that Rob distanced himself from OJ and never spoke to him again. Even on his deathbed, OJ called him and Rob did not answer. And to me, I think he knew OJ killed Nicole and he just didn't want anything to do with him or even want him around his family. Now, you ask how OJ got away with this. Well, for one, he had the best of the best lawyers. And then for two, his lawyers claimed that the police working the case were racist and they planted the evidence in his home. They also said that the police didn't properly collect the evidence. And then you can't forget about the infamous quote, "If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit." During the trial, they had OJ try on the gloves that were found, but his hands didn't fit in the gloves. But now we know that OJ actually had carpal tunnel in his hands and has stopped taking his meds before starting the trial, which made his hands swell up. It is said that he actually told someone his plan to make sure that the gloves didn't fit, which is crazy. But then when I think about it, after watching some of the clips, OJ really looked happy and enthused to put on those gloves. Like, he already knew that his hands weren't gonna fit. So that just kind of further proves that he knew what he was doing and he purposely stopped taking his medicine so his hands would swell up. Just my opinion. And then in 1997, a civil trial was filed by Fred Goldman, which was Ron Goldman's father. A jury found him liable for the wrongful death of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman and awarded $33.5 million in damages to the Goldmans. O.J. Simpson would later be incarcerated for an unrelated armed robbery at the Las Vegas hotel in 2008, which he claimed he was getting his stuff back that a friend of his had stole, which was found out it was his memorabilia that he was having one of his friends sell for him under the table, so he didn't have to pay the Goldmans. He was sentenced to 33 years. Some people feel like it was karma that he was arrested and sentenced to 33 years, but unfortunately, he only served 9 years, and to me, that's still not long enough. So I strongly suggest you guys should check out the OJ's deposition tapes from the civil trial. They are very interesting and very telling. Like, he not once got emotional about talking about Nicole. Not once. Like, he was laughing, he was short, he was getting annoyed with them questioning him, but not once was sympathetic or emotional, like, at all. But then his best friend, Al, literally was crying during his deposition, literally had to walk out of the deposition because he was so emotional. So that was kind of crazy to me. And I think that it is crazy that OJ got away with killing Nicole and Ron. I don't for sure know that he did it, but I believe in my heart that he committed this crime. Like I said, he never showed any real emotion in either one of his trials. But when he got caught up for armed robbery, he was crying and so upset about it. And then there's just the fact that they have all this evidence. It just says that he's guilty. And then his personality and all his interviews talking about Nicole and the book he wrote about if he would have done it just prove even more that he is guilty. Now, some people are still convinced that he is innocent. Like, there are people out there that say his son might have done it. I'm not really sure where they're getting that information or why they think that, but there are people out there that think that his son did it. So, what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. And thank you for watching Throwback Thursdays. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.